So back in the early days of the spicy cough, better known as COVID-19, I reckon one of the hardest working pieces of equipment in my home studio where I was doing my radio show from my bedroom, well, it had to be the microphone. In my case, a Blue Snowball Ice Microphone. Absolutely love it. Awesome bit of kit. But that was at the start of COVID. Haven't really used it much, and now I'm wondering in 2024, can I use this plugged into this, my Samsung S20 FE, to make my recording experience just that little bit nicer. The good news is it turns out I can, and even better, I found something to 3D print that'll suit it perfectly. Morning YouTube, Al here from the blog onemanmanyplans.com.au. And I tell you what, it seems like an absolute lifetime since we were getting the grips of COVID-19, but I don't reckon anyone's really forgotten a single dark minute of all of the restrictions that were suddenly put upon us. Whether it was the social distancing, 1.5 meters apart, maybe it was, going for a coffee at a takeaway coffee place that had literally become just takeaway. In a case around the corner from where I worked, the cafe put up barricades so that no one could sit down. You could grab a coffee and you could go. That was your coffee experience. There were also regulations and rules about how many people could be living under the one roof. In some places in Australia, you actually had a 5K radius, and that's as far as you could go. 5Ks from your house. Hopefully there was a shopping centre. Hopefully there was something you could buy before you scuttled back 5Ks to your house. And of course, one of the biggest parts of COVID-19, which still has a kind of effect depending on where you are in the world, and maybe you just decided this is the way of things now, that was the working from home. And as I said, I actually did quite a few radio shows from the comfort of my own bedroom, which was a strange experience. It was okay, let's be honest, because I would wake up every morning, I would stumble into the kitchen, make myself some breakfast, big cup of black coffee, and then I'd walk back in my room and I would start recording up my radio show, which was really, really bizarre. I'm broadcasting to unknown thousands of people, and literally my bed is over there. But like I said, this is when my Snowball microphone really, really came in handy. And I actually bought it a few months before COVID simply to do some early YouTube stuff. And when it came that time, the engineers came around and said, unfortunately, it's go time. You've got to broadcast from home. You've got a laptop. We'll give you that. What else do you need? Do you need a Wi-Fi dongle? Cool. Have you got a microphone? I said, yes, I have a microphone. And this one worked just fine. Now, at the time, it was $88 and everyone was raving on about a different microphone. They were loving the Yeti. The Yeti, it's the greatest microphone ever for recording and doing stuff at home. Get yourself a Yeti. I could have got myself a Yeti. I got one of these instead because I just love the look of it. I mean, seriously, how cool does it look? It looks like a floating eyeball on a stick, on a stand. It looks like one of those eye beasts from Dungeons and Dragons. It just looks so different from everything out there. $88, I couldn't say no. And it is, just at its best, a very, very basic microphone. There are no buttons, there are no knobs, there is no switches, there is no separate plugs. There is literally a plug hole for it there, which leads to USB, which leads to computer. You set up your recording, you set up your preferences, and off you go. It is literally plug and play, which is awesome. Now, since COVID has come and shook the world and left sort of all sorts of chaos in its wake, I haven't really used this much. My son has used it a couple of times. I brought it out of the archives once in a blue moon, plugged it in just to make sure it still works, and it certainly has. But suddenly we're at 2024, I came across it again, and it got me wondering, can I use it for what I'm doing here? Because my setup is very, very basic. I have a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. It's a very old phone by Samsung standards. It works okay. The camera's a little bit buggered, so I can't really do too much with it. Sound-wise, it records fine when I'm close to it. The issue I have when you're doing YouTube stuff is naturally sometimes you're not close to the camera, which means the pickup is not great from a little distance away. So that led to my next thought, maybe I should get a proper mic setup for this. Now, I have seen a few in action, and a big shout out to Jesse, who I work with at the radio station, who introduced me to the wonderful world of Rode clip-ons. He's got an iPhone. It's got a very special Rode device that he uses. One part clips into the bottom of the iPhone. The other one wirelessly is a microphone that you clip to either your lapel or a mic stand, and off we go. And it sounds amazing. It looks great. I think he picked it up for a couple $100. And for a little bit of time, I've been thinking, maybe that's the way to go. And maybe it certainly is down the track. For the moment though, I've been wondering if the Snowball microphone can be of any use. Now, normally I would just plug this into a computer. The problem is I'm in the shed, it's nice and quiet, it's away from the family. This is where I've been doing the majority of my recording. I do not have a computer here to plug it into to record sound separately. So the natural question is, can it plug directly into the Samsung? Is there a way to do this? And this is why I love YouTube. A massive thank you to WhyOhWhyPhi, who has done a video just on this. Doing the experiment himself and discovering that what you need is a USB-C to USB OTG adapter. And that's all you need. It is, as the mic is intended to be, plug and play directly into Android phones, which is fantastic. And the good news is there is no shortage of adapters out there for me to go and peruse. I could go to Amazon like he suggested, or they're also available at JB Hi-Fi. You can pick them up at JCar here in Australia. They're at Officeworks. Look, basically any kind of adapter place, any kind of tech store should have something along these lines. So I'm pretty much spoilt for choice. You can also order them in through AliExpress or, dare I say, Temu, if you really want to save lots of dollars and wait a few weeks. So massive thank you to WhyOhWhyPhi for pointing out that yes, it is actually easy, which means that when I get one, and I will get one very soon, I'll be able to have the camera here, but maybe the microphone back there. Maybe I can do more stuff on location. Just having a microphone with a little length of cord is just such a big upgrade. So if you have a Blue Ice microphone and you're thinking, oh geez, can I use it with my phone? Yes, definitely. Android phones, I believe there's Apple adapters that you can use too for USB Apple phones, so certainly that's an option. Which led me to the next part, because this is the wonders of where we are in 2024. Back then, when I first got this, wasn't really into 3D printing. I have my own 3D printer now. It's just an Ender 3 V2. It's a basic FDM printer, but at the moment it is printing out parts for a Snowball Ice shock mount. Now, don't really need a shock mount for this particular microphone. I can use the stand, but the fact that there's parts available for you to print and build one got me thinking, great, you know, if I build this shock mount, so there's the outer ring and the two inner rings, and then you're going to have some kind of elastic. I think they use hair ties in it from the print that's suggested, and I'll actually link this down below. Snowball in there. Basically, if you move it around, that's going to bounce around on the inside, but it's going to be suspended and it's not going to make too much noise. It's not really needed, but now that I've started to print out the bits and pieces for this, I've suddenly gone, cool, what if we got an arm for this? So now I'm thinking we'll get some kind of microphone stand or one of those script stands and just take out the script holder, and we'll wire this to it so that I can have this microphone somewhere just mounted in the shed. I've got plenty of places where I can mount it and move it as I need it, which is awesome. Now this is going to be a bit of an interesting experiment, because when I was reading up on printing this particular one, it did say to use a really strong filament. I have very basic filament. I have very basic cheap filament. It's a little bit flexible, as you can see. We'll see how it holds up. But I love the fact that technology that I bought has caught up where someone's gone, you know what? I could go out and I could pay $100, $150 for a proper shock mount, or I could just design one up, put it out there, put the instructions on the web for free, and someone like Al could come around and download it to his heart's content and have a bit of a play with it. And it's taken me, what, a few hours for a couple of rings each. So you've got 2 large rings, 2 smaller rings. There's a mount that's currently printing there at the moment as we speak. And that means that my Snowball will get another go. So that's a bit of good news for my situation. And I reckon if you're in the same stage, especially the early stages of doing stuff on YouTube, you've got a bit of old tech around. Well, before you throw it out and spend hundreds on some new gear, maybe just have a Google and see if things can be adapted for what you're using it for now, because I'm thrilled. The printing hasn't really cost me much. The adapter's not going to cost me much. Suddenly I'm going to have better sound recording and a more flexible recording situation here in the shed. And this is probably the first of many steps. Oh, look, we'll probably have green screens and a smoke machine in here eventually, but for the time being, I do like a cheap and easy fix. And I do like the fact that my Snowball, which worked so hard back in the days of COVID, is going to be working it's a little harder once again. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for checking out my latest video. Good luck with all your technical prowess and whatever you've got planned next. Let's try not to think about COVID anymore. Love you to like and subscribe, and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for checking out my stuff.